The average citizen's
Yeah.
not going to be okay unless they take action. This is why people are angry, whether you're on the left or whether you're the right. You're angry because the system is failing you. And what's happening is you're a wage slave and you can't buy a house. Or you can't invest as much of the stock market that your parents could do. You just, A, cost of living is high, but B, asset prices keep coming up. And that's because they're debasing the currency. And what debasing the currency is, it sounds like a complicated economics term, but what it basically means is they're robbing you of the power to buy assets. So everybody's getting screwed over here and they don't understand why.
Bitcoin has taken off, trading for $47,338.44, up 9.9% in the past 7 days. Bitcoin's surge is perfectly on time, according to Macro Investor Raoul Pal. In an interview with Wealthion, Raul gave a brim outlook on the overall economic situation, particularly in America. Raul stated that the debasement of money will be even worse than we originally thought. Raul shared his concerns and thoughts about the upcoming November election in America, and that he believes the money printer will go back on, as politicians make empty promises. Ultimately, Raul believes there's no end in sight to the debasement of dollars, and that the only way the Fed can begin to combat the situation is by printing even more money. Talk about a one-trick pony. However, Raul believes now is the time to pile into crypto because liquidity will be staggering. But according to Raul, you must act sooner than later before your wealth dwindles down to nothing. Let's listen to what Raul has to say.
So let's look at those two component parts, main parts. One was the debt cycle. That's not changing. In fact, the governments are issuing more debt to pay the interest on the previous debt. And that's pushed interest rates up and it's made it even harder. So the debt keeps going up. Okay, so we haven't solved that one. And it's just accelerating because we're now having to pay the interest on the COVID bond issuance, debt issuance. So it's going vertical right now. So we know they're incentivized to continue this path. On the other side is, are they going to debase the currency? Well, they've been doing the opposite. In 2022, why crypto had such a bear market, as most things did, is they were taking liquidity out because there was inflation. So here we are, where if we look at trueflation, which is a on-blockchain measure of inflation, it's at like 1.4%. So inflation's come down. It's not the boogeyman anymore. Growth, interest rates are too high for that kind of environment at 5.5%. So the probability is they're going to lower interest rates. We're seeing China in an economic mess. They've got a full debt deflation going on. Same issues, aging population, high debts, everything's blowing up. They're likely to stimulate further. The Europeans are likely to end up stimulating further, and eventually the US will stimulate more as well, because they need to get growth to pay for these interest costs. So that is what lies ahead. And then we've got the other sweet spot in the middle of this, which is politicians hand out candy during elections. And the candy that everybody wants is stimulus. So they will hand out stimulus, which needs to be paid for. It either ends up on the Fed balance sheet or some other liquidity measure to allow the government to fund itself. So what we've got is a high probability that our money is going to be worth less. Asset prices are going to rise, but our wages won't, which is the big problem. So our future selves are getting poorer because we can't afford as many assets. And we've got this massive wave of debts to be refinanced. So that's normally a very positive backdrop for crypto. Lots of liquidity. And liquidity is what drives all markets. But crypto is the supermassive black hole that sucks in so much capital when this happens. People don't understand because it looks like their stock market, their 401k's gone up and all of this. But that's only a small percent. That's like 10% of the population who have assets. And those people are very happy with it. The more assets you own, the more powerful you are, the more assets you probably own, the less likely you are going to call the authorities into question. The average guy working in Cincinnati who suddenly can't make his ends meet and can't buy an apartment, what voice does he have in this? And he's being taxed at 15% a year and has been 15% a year. And he has been since 2008. And he just doesn't understand what's going on. He doesn't know who to blame. So what they blame is one party or the other, and it's not. So my advice is I spend a lot of time, I haven't talked a lot about it, but I spend a lot of time looking at the macro economy and what is going and where it's going to drive assets. And my view is that the issues we've been talking about, printing of money, excess debt, are going to be the feature of the next 2 years. How do you pay for that? And so therefore, I am very aggressively positioned in crypto because the only other secular trend there is, I can divide any asset like the S&P 500 or real estate or gold by the central bank balance sheet, the Fed balance sheet, i.e. how much money are the Fed printing or putting on their books. And most of them are pretty flatline. Then you look at the NASDAQ and it's going up because we're getting more digital every day, so there's endless demand. And then crypto goes up exponentially, as we know. So the fastest horse in the race is crypto. So I'm actually 100% of my liquid net worth in this. And I have been actually since 2020. And I use the bear markets to add into, because I think we're in a once in a lifetime wealth accumulation opportunity for everybody. Be you rich or poor, you can still put 10% of your savings in as you go. And that's how strongly I feel about it. It's not just a passing interest. It's not something I say on TV. It's something I actually truly believe in. So look, gold and silver have always played this role that Bitcoin does. It always will do. It is a global store of wealth. Gold is probably the world's true global currency. But what we're finding is in a digital age, they don't work as well. Because I can send you Bitcoin in a few seconds, but for me to transfer gold ownership is a very physical process. Or we move paper rights around, which is kind of goes against the case for it. So gold will do fine in the same environment. It's there to save you. It's just not done as well because it doesn't have this technology super cycle behind it. So I prefer crypto than gold or silver, but they're ways of skinning the same cat, as you say.
To watch the full interview, check out the link in the description. What do you think of Raul's thoughts here? Where do you see the economic environment heading? Leave a comment. If you found value in the content, hit the like button, as that greatly helps the channel find similar viewers like you. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on the current market, news, and commentary. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.